Hey there, Real Housewives of New York fans. I am Lauren Zima.
I'm Bryce Sander, and it's time to talk part 2 of the reunion.
Oh my gosh, you guys, we want to know what you think, of course, so please leave your comments and questions on ET's Facebook page right now. We will get them right here and discuss them. I mean, a lot to discuss even in part 2.
Even in part 2, I will say not as good as part 1, but still a solid reunion show.
Guys, as longtime fans, I was surprised. I felt like they gave so much in part 1. We had the cocaine, the drug accusations. Usually they'd save that. Right, for part 3.
But no, that... hot out the gate.
Hot out the gate. But still so much to talk about. So again, please leave your comments and questions. We are going to dive right in with some Bethany discussion.
Yes.
Oh, Bethany getting emotional and, going into her whole apartment thing. As you guys might or might not know, Bethany is pretty much almost so close to finalizing her divorce with her ex, Jason, who we knew from the show after about 4 years of legal battles.
Only married for 2.
Only married for 2. And so this was really interesting, this footage that they showed. I love when they bring out never before seen footage at reunions.
Yes.
We were watching together last night, and Andy is saying, so Bethany, you had to give up your apartment, you went there. And I screamed out loud instinctually, please let there be footage.
And there was home video footage. We have it.
Here's Bethany.
Going into that bathroom she no longer owns. Looking around. Who filmed this? Her stylist / assistant is my guess. Tears.
Oh my gosh,
Looking at empty closets.
Oh my god.
Crying.
Oh my
More
god.
crying in the closet.
Full breakdown.
Oh my gosh. That was a real moment.
So we just could not believe that for a couple of reasons. One, Bethany had said in several interviews, including with ET, that she would be partying when the divorce was over, that she'd have cocktails. And then she said she was surprised by her reaction, that she totally broke down as she's walking through this apartment she bought with Jason, the first apartment she ever bought, and she now has to sell.
Now, it felt a little fake to me. We have a theory that Bethany was actually crying and then went, oh, they'll want this for the show, handed her phone to an assistant who then started filming her, and she hyped it up.
She's such a producer at this point, Bethany. And I love her for it because she keeps the show going. Real Housewives of New York is arguably better than it's ever been. But it was a little weird that it was just someone with an iPhone as she's sobbing. It's really over. And she's just totally breaking down. We completely agreed it was she felt the emotions. Jules, film this. Julie, film this. Film this. But yeah, it was pretty hilarious. Now, what do you think of where she's at with Jason right now? Because remember earlier in the season, she was worried she had to get the living will, and she's on the phone saying, well, I just wouldn't want Brynn, her daughter, to have to live with them, meaning Jason and his family.
I thought she had already mourned the loss of this relationship, so this footage was interesting to see because it seems like, oh, maybe she hasn't packed away all those bags.
No, and I think, again, 4 years when they were only married for 2, she's just been through so many ups and downs. I think Bethany knows what it's like to not have money, so the loss of the money on legal bills and in whatever the settlement's going to be probably affected her.
But she can sell that apartment and make a buck.
She can sell
Your
that
comments are
apartment.
coming in. Kathy says, she was a little
too dramatic.
but I love Bethany. And Belinda says, NYC's a best drama queen. I would agree.
Bethany has been very interesting on the reunion to me because, like we said, we were very much kind of on Bethany's side the whole season. But man, last week especially, I was kind of thinking about this in retrospect.
Yeah, we were on Bethany's side watching last week, but you have a tide has turned.
A tide has turned for me a little bit. Still a Bethany fan, but man, last week she would not back down on that slut shaming of Luann. She was like, you've slept with every man in Manhattan. And no, I don't agree with it. I'm not a fan of slut shaming. I think these women, as Luann says, she's a grown woman. They're all grown women. Sleep with whoever you want to sleep with.
Or whatever.
Or whatever.
As long as it's legal.
As long as if you're going to sleep with someone who's married, that crosses a line. But Bethany was a little bit slut shamey. And then we also want to get into a lot of talk on part 2 about Bethany and Carol being mean girls.
Yes. All right, Amanda has one more comment about that clip of Bethany. It's a sad situation for her. A lot of firsts in that apartment. Very true. That was Brynn's first home, and that's probably where a lot of that emotion comes from.
And you guys, when I was at her house in the Hamptons, Bethany she's very nostalgic. Even, I think maybe it comes from, she didn't have the most stable upbringing. This is me playing psychologist here. But Bethany has pieces of that apartment in her Hamptons house.
The wallpaper, right?
The wallpaper in both her bedroom, her master bedroom, and Brynn's room. One wall is wallpapered with wallpaper from that apartment. Very intense. Okay, so we want to show you guys this clip next of Carol and Dorinda, going back and forth about Carol and Bethany's mean girling this season.
Uses bribery to raise her children. Give that girl a tuna roll. Your comments were not
Mean Girl.
It was
Very Mean Girl.
It was very Mean Girl. I thought so, and I stand by that. Period. Done.
Dorinda stands by it.
Stands by
They
it.
were mean girls.
Word of the moment.
Yes, like you, Carol, buzzword. Okay.
Buzzword.
Where do you land on this? We are both big Carol and Bethany fans. Do you think they were mean girls?
I don't think they were mean girls because I have a strong stance that you cannot be an adult and be bullied.
You say this a lot.
You stand up for yourself. There's no such thing as an adult being bullied. You can stand up for yourself, especially in this group of women. I think what they are, Carol said it on the show, in every group of friends, if there's 8 people, 2 people are going to be closer. It's just how it works. And yes, I think they bonded over having kind of a sick sense of humor. And I think they do like to poke fun at the other ladies. But I honestly don't think they ever mean it.
Okay.
To be mean, but that doesn't mean it doesn't come across as mean or people don't take it as mean.
Well, that's the problem, right? It's so subjective because we differ on this a little bit. I think Carol and Bethany did have some mean girl moments this season. And the problem with this show is, like, yes, everybody's going to talk about each other. That happens in real life. But then what you say to camera in your confessionals gets caught and, you know, people take offense to it later on looking back.
But as Erica Jane clued me in on, those confessionals last all day. You sit there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and she said they just poke you like a bear in the zoo. I asked her about this when remember that moment when she goes, on my plane? She said she didn't know that was going to get used. So they don't know that these things are going to make it to air that they say, or even probably remember that they said them.
I think for me it was Carol and Bethany took it a little too far when talking about Jules and her eating disorder. Like, I'm all for having a sense of humor. Bethany brings tons of humor to the show, but there were a couple moments there when, you know, like calling it weird, it was just a little too much. But man, Carol was like, I felt like she was sort of not owning anything last night in the reunion. She was like, no,
Carol,
it didn't mean like that.
Carol
no.
seems very much...
Is she over it?
Like, taken out of this. Speaking of Jules, Lisa says, I think Jules is way too sweet and too fragile to be on this show. I hope she comes back for another season. There are reports out there that she might not, but, you know, they don't make decisions till all the reunion episodes have aired, and they do a lot of testing, so... I would like to see Jules back. I think it would be fun to see Jules single and carefree.
New storyline for her. Let us know what you guys think. Do you want to see Jules back on the show? Should she get a second season? I thought she looked great at the reunion.
She looks like a model.
Yeah, I mean, Dorinda made it a little weird when she was like, you've gained weight. Like, okay. Dorinda kept interjecting through the whole reunion.
And also kept saying she could be my daughter.
Yeah, I'm doing the math, and her math might or might not have been right. But yeah, I thought Jules looked great. You know, I felt she held her own last night. She kind of called out Bethany again. A lot of people online have been saying, hey, Jules is really the only one who calls out Bethany.
Yeah.
But that might create a problem for her because Bethany's a pretty strong presence on the show. So does Bethany want her back on? I don't know. I thought Bethany was getting too much into again last night when she was saying that she had this mutual friend who said that Jules went on the show knowing she was going to get divorced.
Right.
I think marriages have ups and downs. Maybe they had talked about divorce. Either way, would you say no to being on The Real Housewives?
No. I also, anytime Bethany says, I have a mutual friend, I always wonder, is it a producer on the show?
Who was the mutual
Because they're all so ingrained with each other at this point. It's like, who was the person who texted you the pictures of John? Who are these people cluing you in about Jules' personal life? Is it a mutual friend?
Pictures of Tom.
Or Tom. Or is it somebody who works on the show?
Interesting. It's an interesting theory. And speaking of John, Lisa says, John is so slimy. He brings Dorinda's class level way down. He's so gross. Dorinda told us, we interviewed her actually, and that interview's at etonline.com right now. We did a full home tour with her infamous Berkshire's home.
Bluestone Manor.
I made it nice. That is at etonline.com right now. But she told us in that interview that she does not think she'll have John on the show as much next season. They are still together, but if she comes back, she got a little burned and feels John did too, which is interesting. Her home also got brought up last night because Dorinda said Carol shouldn't have made the comment about her late husband.
Which that was... But again, it was... Carol defended it and said it was taken out of context. Okay, a lot of you guys want Jules back. Good, Margaret. Jules is my girl.
Yes. Tina's saying Ramona is such a fake. Oh, guys, we got to get into some more clips to show you because Ramona came to part 2 with multiple receipts. Multiple receipts.
Printouts from the internet.
Oh my God. Okay, let's show. We have, first we want to show this clip, Luann getting into how she feels about Tom's alleged lying about his relationships with both Ramona and Sonia. Here's the clip.
He says about Sonia when he lied about how many times he was out with Ramona.
And he lied to me about Ramona.
I think it's inconsequential to me that he said once or twice he took her to dinner. I don't really care. It's not a big deal to me. And
Bethany doing a sharp intake of breath there.
So much eye rolling. I love that Andy went where the fans wanted him to go and said, why do you believe Tom, who you've, at this point in show world, known for 2 months, over your friend Sonia Morgan of 8 years, who you were living with? And Luann didn't really have a good answer for
I
it.
agree. I agree with the other ladies that Luann is just pushing through on this train and she wants to get married. I mean, because he has been caught in multiple lies at this point, and she does not have an explanation for his lies or what. She just says, I trust him, I love him. Well, okay, that's your choice. Hey, as Luann says, she's a big girl.
And that's when Ramona had more evidence.
Receipts. Oh my God. Okay, so Ramona brought out a printout article. Let us show you this clip. There are a lot of amazing little gems in here.
And you referenced before you
Hello,
even
you
Folded and
mentioned
crinkled.
this was before you even dated it in September. Mario, who? Real Housewives of New York City star Ramona dating millionaire.
Look at that
Tom
printout.
The
D'Agostino.
replay button,
And
which
it
means she
mentions that
watched
he-
whatever
I didn't-
video
I
was
didn't see
associated
the
with this
radar.
article
You
before
told
she
me
printed
about
it
this
out.
article. You said, who do you think planted it, Ramona?
Amazing. So they're really getting into the timeline there. Ramona's saying, you had to know that Tom was dating me because it was written up in this article that she printed out that still has the replay button on the thumbnail.
And there was a lot of detail in that article that suggests, as Ramona said, that Tom is the one who leaked this story.
Very interesting.
Luann is defending Tom, saying he doesn't want to be famous. And then Bethany said, you don't date 3 housewives and not create the limelight a little bit, which...
An interesting point from Bethany, an interesting point. And also, Ramona's pretty personal with her dating life. She does not get into it very much on the show, so
remember,
I don't think she would have
She was
leaked
going
that.
to the doctor, was meeting a friend, was just going out.
But like in full glam
Yeah.
this season.
Rosie says Ramona was so gleeful giving evidence on Tom, yet she wanted everyone to shut up about Mario. Well, I think that was last season when she was still conflicted about what was going on with Mario. Remember last week on the reunion, she was very open, honest about what went down with Mario.
She was. And in Ramona's defense, I mean, that's what, a 20-year marriage,
Right.
who she has a daughter with. This guy, again, I think everybody's just suspicious.
It's still less than a year they've
Less
been
than a year
together.
they've been together. And, at the end of the day, want any marriage to work out and for those people to be happy. But I thought Ramona had an interesting moment last night when she said, hey, I'm gonna speak to you as carefully and lovingly as I can, Luann. I'm worried for you.
Andy says, I love receipts. I love receipts at a reunion.
Oh, I love it. What did
Props
you guys...
have been banned, but receipts have not.
Receipts have not. I mean, let's talk about last season when Ramona pulled out a bag of nuts from behind her because she was hungry and
then
needed
took
to
a
snack.
nap.
And then fell asleep. This was a much more dynamic reunion. What did you guys think of Ramona's photo of Tom drawing the heart on her hand? That Luann's like, that's something a kid would do. I think Tom was really into Ramona. I do.
I think Ramona wasn't into Tom.
The receipts are amazing. We also really got into Sonia and Luann again.
Yes.
And I gotta say, Sonia was called delusional multiple times in this part 2.
Unfair.
I thought she seemed very lucid.
Though this, I would say, the moment we're going to pull up was a delusional moment because Sonia was standing up for herself, standing her ground, and then she gets up to hug Luann while Luann is calling her delusional.
Flushed it down the toilet. Here's the clip.
And she felt like you were.
I did. I felt sad for you because I want the same thing to happen to you.
And that
I would
Sonia
love
Morgan
nothing
New
more
York
than you to
collection
find somebody
gown.
and get married. I would love that.
And then Bethany says,
Crystal.
it's a weird universe.
Indeed, which brings us to Joanne's comment. Bethany is real and honest, and if you don't like the truth, get out the kitchen.
I mean, I was totally on Sonia's side this season. I gotta say, she was called delusional by Luann, and then we see in the teaser for part 3 that Dorinda calls her delusional. But I felt like the second half of the season when she cut back on the drinking and at this reunion, Sonia has only been speaking when she has something very valid to say.
Yeah, she has not been rambling. She has not been saying crap out of nowhere. She's been saying pointed things that she's obviously wanted to get off her chest for a long time.
Yes.
Like, why do you call me Sonia?
And I felt like she has been very much defended Luann and Tom all season. She said she just wants Luann to be happy. And Luann lived with her. They're very close. Luann's not believing her friend. Luann's calling her delusional. I mean, over the fact that clearly her and Tom had a relationship. I was surprised.
Only 5 times,
Only
they said.
5 times.
Over the course of 10 years. Friends with benefits. We were like, what do we call this? Because 5 times in 10 years, is that friends with benefits?
Right.
Is that just like... Is there so much time between it that it's just a bunch of one-night stands?
Like, I don't think I've lived enough life like Sonia has to know what 5 times sleeping together over 10 years is.
But also the question comes up, have they been friends for 10 years and then the friends with benefits was all crammed into like 1 year? And then that's actually a friends with benefits thing because the amount of times.
But
we need more information.
I just wanted Sonia to stand up for herself because she was even saying on the reunion last night, she was about to get into things with Tom and she said, Lou, I don't want to hurt you. I love you. And Luann's over there dissing her and calling her a liar, saying that's not true. And then Sonia gets up to go hug Luann. Why do you think she did that?
I think maybe she just wanted her to shut up. Nancy says Lou is the delusional one. I think Luann is just caught in a cloud of love and can't see out of it.
She just wants it to happen. It's very interesting that she keeps going back to this idea that when she knows, she knows. Because with the Count, they were engaged after like 2 weeks. She was 28. They were together 18 years. Maybe that was a one-time success story. Maybe you don't go by that philosophy your whole life. What happened with Jacques? I don't know. At the end of the day, I want her to be happy, but there are a lot of receipts.
Colleen says, love is so blind.
Oh, love is blind. Okay, guys, well, that was part 2 of the reunion. We still have one more part to go. And remember, Bethany has said things like, this reunion was so difficult that she is questioning whether she wants to come back on the show.
And Dorinda told us she's not sure how any of them can come back and be friends after what went down at the reunion.
Crazy. So we still have part 3 next week. We will be right here on ET's Facebook page, so make sure to like ET on Facebook and talk about it with us next week. And also, guys, tonight on ET, we have Sonia's house tour. We went inside the Grey Gardens mansion.
All 6 stories.
Oh my God. Oh, you guys, there's an hour's worth of footage. We can only show you so much, but it's going to be on the show tonight, and it will be up at etonline.com. We have Dorinda's, Berkshire's I Made It Nice home tour up, and please continue the discussion with us over on Twitter. I'm at Lauren Zima.
I'm at Bryce Sander, and we will see you next week.